Hi, I'm Katie Ziskind. I'm the owner of Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching. I love helping couples who are stuck in crisis, a hopeless, frustrating cycle where there's anxiety, withdrawal, and avoidance, and you're both in a lot of emotional pain. You might even be considering getting divorced, but there's hope. I specialize with couples just like you, and I teach you how to build playfulness, rebuild sexual desire, all from a foundation of emotional intimacy. This is one of my dogs. And you can work with me via video telehealth sessions by heading over to wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. This video is about understanding if you have an avoidant attachment style. This means that when your anxious partner withdraws, when they get loud, you withdraw. So like your partner's anxiety starts to come out as anger towards you, and rage and frustration and snappiness. And your partner is very critical of you. And so you have an avoidant attachment style. And your avoidant attachment style actually makes you pull away. It makes you feel super overwhelmed. It makes you feel like you're helpless, like you're not good enough, like you don't know what to do. And you might end up saying something really hurtful as well as your partner. You're both saying kind of mean things back to each other. And you also withdraw. So you might give the silent treatment. You might go silent. You might leave. And that triggers your partner's fear of abandonment. If you are an avoidantly attached person, you may also consider yourself or identify with being hyper-independent. Avoidant people aren't avoidant all the time. They're just avoidant when they're triggered. So a lot of times when we look at an avoidant partner and an anxiously attached partner, there's a lot of love. You guys deeply love each other. You've been married for at least 10 years. You may even have children together. There's a lot here you're fighting for, but it comes out as a high conflict fight. As well, if you're an avoidantly attached partner or an avoidant person, you really struggle to identify your emotions and verbalize them to your partner, which actually triggers your anxious partner's anxiety even more. It makes them get louder, it makes them get more frustrated, which then makes you withdraw and makes you kind of, pull away. So there's this really negative pattern or dance that's going on between the two of you. Also, when you pull away, it actually makes your partner feel more unheard. They might say things like, "You never listen to me. You never understand what I'm saying." And so that actually is them trying to communicate. I actually help them in sessions articulate and communicate more effectively. And you guys are getting into this really difficult pattern. If you are an anxiously attached person or have an anxious attachment style, you had parents that showed you that love was inconsistent. Maybe you were parentified, which means you had parental level responsibility as a child. Maybe you're the oldest and had to take care of your younger siblings. Perhaps you were the caregiver and had to make sure and ensure safety for your younger siblings. You had responsibilities that a child shouldn't have. As well, if you're an avoidantly attached person or have an avoidant attachment style, you avoid conflict. You don't want to have any yelling, so you don't actually ever repair. You don't actually recover from the conflict in your marriage. As a child, you never had parents show you how to recover from conflict. You never had parents talk with you about your feelings. If anything, your parents had either really intense yelling fights that made you want to avoid conflict altogether, or they never had conflict, so you never actually saw the healthy cycle of resolving conflict. If you're avoidantly attached, you may also have a betrayal trauma, or feel like your parents took advantage of you or used you or really hurt you in some way. There's some grief around your childhood and how your parents treated you. Your father may have had rage issues or anger issues, so there was emotional unpredictability when you were growing up. Love was inconsistent. Love was unpredictable. There was not this ongoing warmth. Perhaps also, if you're avoidantly attached, you had to be a people pleaser. Let's say your mother was highly anxious. You had a narcissistic mother. She always made it about her. She guilt-tripped you if you didn't do what she wanted. She had so much anxiety that you as a child took on her anxiety. So now, any type of anxiety from your spouse makes you want to avoid emotions altogether, because as a child, you had to be your mother's caretaker. Your mother had some chaotic emotions and was very anxious. She may have nitpicked you, put you down, or belittled you. And so having a parent who's highly critical and highly anxious can make a child have an avoidant attachment style. So part of in couples work, the high conflict couples work that I do with you and your spouse, is to look at inner child wounds. We all have unmet love needs or childhood traumas, whether that's emotional neglect, having a parent who's highly critical, having a parent who's an alcoholic, who's numbing out and avoiding. So you may have had a parent that showed you how to avoid. Now you might be struggling with a pornography addiction. You might be struggling with being a workaholic. You may be struggling with numbing out in another way, such as using drugs or prescription drugs. You might even have a phone addiction, right? So numbing out is something you may have learned as a survival mechanism in childhood because you didn't really have a sense of safety or security. So now in couples counseling and relationship coaching, I teach you and your partner how to build emotional validation skills, emotional security, a sense of safety, a sense of connection, a sense of true intimacy where you can both be your authentic selves. You don't have to people please. You don't have to perform to get a little breadcrumb of love from your emotionally avoidant parent. You don't have to be a certain way to be lovable. In our sessions, I help you understand that your worth is determined just by simply being yourself and help you harness your voice, help you articulate things in a healthy, effective way, in a calm way versus yelling or snapping. And I actually teach you and your partner in session how to build emotional security. So every single session with me is a sneak peek into a sense of playfulness, rebuilding connection. You actually get this heartfelt sense with your partner. I teach you exactly how to do this in session. It's an experiential style of therapy. I also help you guys talk about these trauma experiences because they're the root of this angry, powerless, frustrating cycle that you're stuck in. So I teach you how to break this cycle of trauma that might actually be currently happening in your marriage. You're passing down these behaviors of trauma without realizing it. So I teach you how to build playfulness, a meaningful connection, and give you skills and strategies to recognize that you are an avoidantly attached person and your partner has an anxious attachment style and how to shift into a secure attachment style. So I use a mixture of Gottman marriage therapy. I'm Gottman level 2 trained. I also use Imago marriage therapy, which is evidence-based and teaching both of you how to feel heard, how to feel understood, how to feel valued. I also use emotionally focused couples therapy, which teaches you how to basically shift out of people pleasing or doing things out of fear and obligation and instead into emotional vulnerability where you can be your full authentic self. Like your whole self is welcome and can be expressed in your marriage. And that's what builds a secure bond. I'm also a somatic therapist, which means the body and the nervous system has trauma memories. So sometimes we use deep breathing and meditation, and even yoga can be a part of sessions as part of techniques that I use to help you reconnect with your body and also co-regulate with your partner. I will also pause you both and stop you and redirect you and teach you a skill right in session if you start to get into a high conflict fight, which is super common. You might start yelling in session. You might start getting really triggered in session. And a more generalist couples therapist does not have the training or expertise to know how to pause your argument and help you communicate the deeper core emotions, which is what I do. I help you both feel appreciated by the other person, feel valued, like you matter, talk about your emotional needs, and do things you've never seen modeled if you had narcissistic parents, if you had parents that were not emotionally mature or had alcoholism or avoided emotions altogether. And you might be doing this for the first time in your life. You know, you're on this chapter of building security, of wanting to figure out how to have a healthy, loving bond, and even talk about things like sex for the first time. You may have learned in your childhood, due to having a strict conservative religious upbringing, that masturbation was bad, that sexual urges are sinful, that if you're a female, sex is a duty that you have to give to your husband or else he might cheat on you. There is a lot of fear around sexuality when we're raised in a conservative culture. And so part of what I do in my sessions is I give you a safe space to get comfortable talking about your sexuality. It does not mean you have to go have sex after session. It just means that you get to talk openly and get familiar talking about your own erotic self, what the cycle of rejection might be like in your marriage, how you felt hurt by your partner, what it was like in adolescence when your parents didn't offer you any guidance around sex or sexuality. Maybe you were just told, be pure until marriage, be abstinent until marriage, and you were told nothing, right? So we talk a lot about the female orgasmic system because a lot of times I work with females who have low sexual desire or no interest in sex at all. And this is because more often than not, their male partner is replicating what's seen in pornography. Pornography is often turned to as a form of sex education, but it's not accurate. In pornography, there's no emotional education, there's no emotional conversation, there's no communication on what do you like, how do you feel, do you need more foreplay? So I teach a lot about how to have an emotionally intimate and emotionally secure bond in order to have a great, amazing, playful, fulfilling, slow, caring, right, erotic sex life. Sex is not something that's just good. Sex is something that you co-create, just like a beautiful, emotionally connected bond. An emotionally safe bond is the beginning of a healthy sex life. Also, we start to overcome sexual shame and guilt due to having a strict conservative religious upbringing. So we talk about the messages and the misinformation you received and how your parents may have shamed you for masturbating and told you that your sexuality and your sexual urges were wrong, and how that's impacting desire and how you come on to your partner, or the type of physical touch you need or dislike in your marriage, and sexual expectations. So sexual intimacy is something that we safely and comfortably talk about in marriage counseling and relationship coaching, because it's a huge part of married life. And it's a part of how couples can have a beautiful sense of intimacy, but it also can be a very huge point of conflict. So I would love to help you have sex positive and very safe consensual conversations around your sexuality and sexual expression. We start to take the focus off of penis and vagina penetrative sex, and we put the focus on having safe, loving, fun, playful, sexual, expressive experiences together in that safe container of marriage. So sex doesn't have to just be penis and vagina sex. And talking about it doesn't mean you need to have it. It's just a beautiful way to start uncovering those layers of shame, guilt, fear, and anxiety, and sexual avoidance. Because if you have an avoidant attachment style, you may also be avoiding sexual intimacy. And so this is all a beautiful part of our sessions, and breaking the cycle where your partner is anxious and you're avoidant, and this is really painful. I would love to help you both build meaningful connection, a sense of playfulness, talk about rebuilding sexual desire, and really curate a secure bond unlike you've ever had before. I specialize with high conflict couples that are on the brink of divorce and have tried couples therapy before and need the expert guidance of a specialist. I incorporate themes of childhood trauma and your inner child wounds and those things that have been buried away that are still affecting you. So you can work with me by heading over to wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. I'm Katie Ziskind. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. It means I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I'm a certified sex therapy informed professional. I'm also Gottman Level 2 trained. I specialize with couples who get stuck in criticism and defensiveness and shift them into security and playfulness. I have lots of training in imago therapy and emotionally focused couples therapy. And I'm somatically trained, so I offer yoga therapy as well. I would love to support you and your partner if you're feeling hopeless, rejected, and lonely, and really confused about where to go next. I give you direct guidance in building a secure, playful, loving marriage bond and teaching you skills for long-lasting love. That's wisdomwithinct.com. Also, you can find my free podcast as a resource, All Things Love and Intimacy. Just put that into Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's on Apple and Spotify. That's All Things Love and Intimacy. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.